Alright guys, so the first thing that we have to do is to download the form. So we're gonna show you how to download this form, guys. Alright, all you have to do is type in uscis.gov/I-129F, and then you have to click enter. And then after that, you will see a lot of information right here. Don't get confused. The first one is a rapid visa. I highly recommend to choose the USCIS because that's a legit. I know rapid visa is also legit, but that's under agency. So we'll go ahead and follow the USCIS website, all right, because this is the most legit information that you can get. All right, so they will gonna take you in this page, and on this page it will gonna allow you to download the form. It is for free. So the first thing that you will see right here is form I-129F. You can click that one, then you can go ahead and download. There's also one instructions. I highly recommend to also download the instructions. It's actually helping me a lot, because if there are some things that I don't understand, I will just go ahead and check the instructions, and yeah, I will be able to answer those specific information that I'm confused about. That also include the form G1145. This is the notification of acceptance of application or petition. This is where you will receive notification if the USCIS already received your application upon filing. So this will also gonna show you the number of pages. So the number of pages is 13, and the edition date is also November 7th, 2018. And there will also gonna show you as well where to file it, and how much is the filing fee, some special instructions, checklist, things like that. Okay, but let's go ahead and focus first on filling out this application form. So when you click this one, it will just gonna give you this page. Alright guys, so after you downloaded the form, this is how it's gonna look like. So as what mentioned earlier, there are 13 pages on this entire application. So let's go ahead and start with the page 1. So in this first page, you can see for USCIS only on the top of it. So in this part, you don't need to fill out this information. So let's go ahead and start from here. As you can see, they are very specific, or it will lead you to the right information. So they also provided you an option right here. They say that you have to type it or print in black ink. So if you are an old school and if you wanted to write down the information, you have to use the black ink ball pen. And if you wanted to print it out, of course it's not going to be in a colored ink. Okay, so I highly recommend to use the PDF file, because it's a smart program and it will gonna help you a lot during this entire process, because it's easy to delete information if you mistakenly enter the wrong one. Plus it will be legible on the consular officer part. Sometimes they will gonna have a hard time understanding the penmanship, so it's better to be on a PDF file. Also, one thing that is very, very important that you have to consider using the PDF form, it's because there are part in this form where your beneficiary's information needs to be entered. So what we did during our time is my fiance that time fill out the form, which is under the petitioner, and then after that he sent me this entire document and I have to enter it, my information, and then saved and send it back to him. So it's super cool. You don't need to mail this document, or you don't need to really get information from your fiance and enter it by yourself. So you can just go ahead and send it over the entire thing and let your fiance enter the information. So let's go ahead and start. So the first part here is information about you, which is the American citizen or the petitioner. All right, so the alien registration number is only for the immigrant, okay, in the US. So if you are a US citizen, you don't have an alien registration number. So if you can just leave it blank. And then the next one is USCIS online account number. This is the number that you can obtain if you set up an online account from the USCIS website. So you can leave it blank, but if you have one, then you can enter the account number. The next one is the US Social Security number. So if you have the Social Security number, of course, you need to have one if you are a US citizen. So you have to enter it right here. And then in this part, select one box below to indicate the classification you are requesting for your beneficiary. So if you're filing for a fiancé K1 visa, then you have to check this for A box. Okay, let's just not focus on the spouse, because spouse is actually using a different form, which is the I-130. So let's just keep that part because it will just gonna give you a confusion. All right, so let's go ahead and start from this part, which is the full name of the US citizen. So the last name, the first name, and the middle name. So on this part, if you have other name used, then you can also provide all that information in here. And then you will also enter your mailing address, 123 Frontier Road, apartment 1234, Chicago, Illinois 60176. All right, the country USA. And then is your current mailing address the same as your physical address? If you answered yes to this part, then you have an automatic, like what I've said, if it's a smart program, it will automatically give you this answer present. So there's no need for you to enter your information, and here in the system won't allow you as well. All right, because you mentioned here that it's a yes, so meaning to say you have the same address with your mailing address. But if you answered no, on this part, you have to provide physical address in items number 9A to 9H. So let's move on. So this is the physical address previously. All right, you have to enter this information. If it won't fit, if you have multiple address, then you have to use the page 8 of this application, which is going to be at the very back part of this pages. And I'm gonna show you that in a while. Okay, so let's move on to this part. So your employment history, again, we're talking about the petitioner or the American citizen. So provide your employment history for the last 5 years, whether inside or outside the United States. Provide your current employment first, and then if you need extra space, then you have to use that part 8 additional information. Now I'm putting all the information right here. Then this is actually for more than 5 years, so there's no need for me to enter the second employer, okay? Because if only asking you for the last 5 years, so you have to enter only for the last 5 years. All right, I'll put NA right here. But of course, if you have multiple jobs within 5 years, then you have to enter that information in that part. All right, let's move on to this part. Employment start date. Yeah, there's nothing because it's NA here. Under this other information, it's just about you, so it's a very basic question. All right, and then let's move on to this part. This is information about your parents. So it's either your mother will be the first one that you have to enter, or it's either your father. So it's up to you. It doesn't really matter. So parents 1, so you have to enter the family name, the first name, and the middle name, the birth date, and yeah, if it's a male or a female, the country of birth. For example, your parent already passed away, so you can enter deceased in here under the city, town, or village of residence, and the country of residence. And then in this other part, this is under like in my case, I put the father's information on the first one, and then the mother information on the second one. So here is the part which most of the people are very confused about. Most especially the Filipino, the beneficiary keep asking questions regarding this one. So they are confused if they will gonna put the mother's maiden name or the mother's married name. So just to clear this question, guys, you have to always remember that if the question is just the family name, the given name, and the middle name, that is automatic a married name. Because most of the time you will see that in the form, the question is like, please enter your mother's maiden name. They are very specific. If you've seen that question, that's the only time that you have to enter the mother's maiden name. Okay, so in this part, it's just asking family name, given name, middle name. So it's not a maiden name. Okay, so I hope it's clear. All right, so birth date, female, USA, Houston, Texas, USA. And then number 37, have you ever been previously married? Then if you answered yes to this part, then you have to enter the information of your previous spouse. And if you answered no, then you have to leave it blank. But in this case, the program won't allow me to enter any information because I said no to this one. Normally I enter NA if the question is not applicable, but this one, it won't allow me to enter information. All right, so let's move on to the citizenship information. So if you are a U.S. citizen through birth in the United States, then you can enter or check that box. If it's naturalization, you can enter that box as well. U.S. citizen parents, you can also enter that box right here. And then the number 41 question, have you obtained a certificate of naturalization or certificate of citizenship in your own name? Then yeah, you can answer, if you are a US citizen, you can answer it no here. If you answered yes to item number 41, complete item numbers 42 and 42A and 42C, which this is part, so there's no need for me to enter that information. So have you ever filed form I-129F for any other beneficiary? So if you have already filed before, then you can answer yes, but if no, then you can answer no and leave it blank right here. But if you answered yes, then you have to fill out this information. Alright, let's move on to this part. Do you have any children under 18 years of age? If yes, then they will gonna ask you the age. And if no, then there is no need to enter information. So you have to provide all U.S. states and foreign countries in which you have resided since your 18th birthday. So you have to enter the state and the country. And if it won't fit, if you have more than that, then you can use the part number 8 at the very end of this page. Alright, and then part 2 is information about your beneficiary. This is what I'm talking about at the very beginning. So in this part, what my fiance did, he sent me this document. So it's up to you, it's personal preference, but in our case, my fiance sent me this document and I have to fill out this information by myself and then send it back to him. So there are people also that just asking question from their beneficiary and then they're the one who's gonna fill out that form. It's okay still, that's gonna be acceptable, is personal preference, but that's what we did. I'm just sharing my best practices here. So next is a number. So that's an alien number. So I haven't been to the United States yet, so that means to say I don't have an alien number yet. So I entered none in this part. But if your beneficiary has been to United States before, then they probably have an alien number. Alright, next one is the US Social Security number. I don't have one as well, so I put none. So next is the birth date, the gender, the marital status, the city, the country, and the nationality. So this information is other name used. So I put NA in this part. Actually, nickname should not be put in here because they will gonna ask you additional documents under your nicknames. Like they will ask you Sinomar, the certificate of no marriage, under your nicknames. If you put your nicknames in this part, they will also ask you an NBI or police clearance with under your nickname. So I highly recommend to not put any information in here as long as you are not really using your nicknames on your legal documents. All right. Next is the part 2 information about your beneficiary still. So the mailing address of your beneficiaries. Next is your beneficiary's address history. It's the same thing the last 5 years. And then, yeah, it's the same thing. So your beneficiary's employment history, the same thing that I have mentioned earlier. So I provided all my information in here. Everything that I work with. Alright, and then information about your beneficiary still. The second employer, let's say I did not put anything here because I worked at SM Mall, for example, for more than 5 years. So I did not work at SM Mall, so I'm just giving this as an example. Alright, so information about your beneficiary's parents. Again, it's a personal preference. It's up to you if you put your mother's name first in this part, and then on the parent too, then you can put your father's name. So it's up to you. Other information about your beneficiary. So has your beneficiary ever been previously married? If no, then just leave it blank. If yes, then you have to enter the information. Alright, next one is, has your beneficiary ever been in the United States? If you said no, then there's no need for you to enter this information. But if you said yes, then you have to answer the information. So if your beneficiary is currently in the United States, complete items number 38A until 38H. So he or she last entered as a, for example, visitor, student, exchange alien, crewman. So if ever your fiance has been to United States, then you have to enter the visa that they actually use when they enter United States. And of course, they will also have this I-94 arrival departure record number, which I'm gonna be making another video about this one. Alright, next is this information about your beneficiary still. So date, authorized, stay, expired, or will expire as shown on form I-94. There's no need to answer that information. And then passport number. So travel document number, I don't think we do have a travel document number, so I put NA on my end, and then I put Philippines. Does your beneficiary have any children? Then if you answered yes to this part, automatically you will have a K2 visa for your children. No matter what, if you will gonna bring your children with you or not, still automatically this petition will include your children with a visa. Alright, so there's no need to file a separate visa for the children. As long as you enter their names in here, then automatically they will be included on the petition. Alright, so let's say for example I enter my child's name in here, and then they will gonna ask, so number 43, does this child reside with your beneficiary? Then if you answered yes to this part, then I have to leave it blank. Then the next one is address in the United States where your beneficiary intends to live. So this address, we use my fiance's address. Alright, next is your beneficiary's physical address abroad. So this is the address of the beneficiary in the Philippines. And then your beneficiary's name and address in his or her native alphabet. Actually, this is only applicable if you are Korean, because they have a different alphabet. and at the same time like other countries that using a different alphabet. So in this part, it's still information about your beneficiary. So is your fiance related to you? If you answered yes, then you have to provide the nature and degree of relationship. For example, third cousin or maternal uncle. But if you answered no, then you just have to put NA. Then the next one is, have you and your fiance met in person during the 2 years immediately before filing this petition? Then you have to answer yes, because if you answered no, then I think there's gonna be an issue for that, because that one of the requirement when filing a petition is at least you've met in person within the last 2 years. Okay. Alright, next is in this part, you have to indicate how you have met in person. So to be honest with you guys, a lot of people nowadays are actually providing a separate document to indicate the time that they've met each other in person. But in our case, my fiance actually put vacation and birthday celebration. That's it. It's just simple, because if it is gonna be long enough, they should have provided long space in this part. So there's no need to be very complicated in this part. You just have to indicate what is the reason or what's the nature of you meeting each other in person, right? So that's the only thing that they wanted to know. So we put here vacation and birthday celebration. All right, international marriage broker. Well, if you are the US citizen, you know exactly how the international marriage broker is. So this is actually a dating site which they actually paired you to a other person, and there's actually a payment for that one. And of course, if you are under the international marriage broker, they normally set up or process this petition for you. So yeah, if you met your fiance through an online dating site, that is not an international marriage broker. Okay, so there's a lot of people confused about it. Alright, next part. So I have put blank in here. The consular processing information. So you have to put here Manila, wherever you wanted to conduct your visa interview. So yeah, you have to put in here. So I have my schedule in Manila, Philippines. So this is other information. This is related to the criminal information of the US citizen or the petitioner. So you just have to answer all information as much as possible. You have to be very honest with this one, because they will still gonna know about this because they're doing the credit check. Okay, so this section is that this criminal information questions must be answered even if your records were sealed, cleared, or if anyone, including a judge, law enforcement officer, or attorney, told you that you no longer have a record. So if you need extra space to complete the section, use the space provided in part 8. So have you ever been subject to a temporary or permanent protection or restraining order? Then no. Have you ever been arrested or convicted of any of the following crimes: domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, child neglect, dating violence, elder abuse, stalking, or an attempt to commit any of these crimes? Then you have to answer no. This one, homicide, murder, no. 3 more arrests or convictions, no. If you were ever arrested or convicted of any of the specified crimes, you must submit certified copies of all court and police records showing the charges and disposition for every arrest or conviction. You must do so if your records were sealed, expunged, or otherwise cleared, and regardless of whether anyone, including a judge, law enforcement officer, or attorney, informed you that you no longer have a criminal record. If you need extra space, then use the part 8. This one, if you have provided information about a conviction for a crime listed in items number 2A to 2C, and you are being battered or subject to extreme cruelty at the time of your conviction, select all of the following that apply to you. So there's nothing. Have you ever been arrested, cited, charged, indicted, convicted, fined, or imprisoned for breaking or violating any law or ordinance in any country? Then no. If you answered yes to this item number 4A, then you have to answer it here. But if you answered no, then there's no need. Right, multiple filer waiver request information. So indicate which one of the following waivers you are requesting. If you're a multiple filer, no permanent restraining orders or convictions for a specified offense. Actually, my fiance answered not applicable. Beneficiary is my spouse, or I am a multiple filer. I am not a multiple filer. Alright, next is part 4, biographic information. So you have to choose the ethnicity in this part. So if you're not Hispanic or Latino, and then the race, if you're white, black, or African American, American Indian, or Alaska Native, then you have to enter in here the height, the weight, then the color of your eyes, the hair color. And then number 5, or part 5, petitioner's statement, contact information, declaration, certification, and signature. So read the penalty section of the form I-129F instructions before completing this part. Alright, next is petitioner's statement. Select the box for either item number 1A or 1B if applicable. Select the box for item number 2. So of course you can check the number 1A because that is I can read and understand English, and I have read and understand every question and instructions on this petition and my answer to every question. Alright, next is the petitioner's contact information. You have to enter your phone number here and your email address. The petitioner's declaration and certification. So you also have to make sure that you enter the date of signature, and you have to sign in a black ink with your petitioner signature, because most of the time, I know this is very, very important. It's so funny, but there are people still that forget to put their signatures on that part. Alright, so part 6, interpreter's contact information, certification, and signature. If you are using an interpreter, then you have to enter the interpreter's full name, interpreter's mailing address, interpreter's contact information. Yeah, these are from interpreters or the person who prepared this application on behalf of the petitioner. Alright, let's move on to this part. This is still the preparer's signature. Alright, let's now, actually we are on the very last part of the page, and this is the part 8. This is just one page, but if you need more, you can print more of this part. Okay, for example, in this part 8, this is the page where you have to use if all the information required on the previous pages is not enough, then you can enter it here. For example, you have also to enter your family name here. This is the petitioner's information, not the beneficiary. Even though the question on that part is the names and address of your children, I know that's only one children that is available on that page. So if you have 2 or more children, then you have to enter it here. And most of the time they are very confused about what name should they put in here. It should be the beneficiary, or it should be the petitioner's name that you need to enter in this part, because they are the ones who applied for this petition. And on this part, they will gonna enter this number, page number, part number, and item number. So it's understandable that this information is the name of your children. So don't worry, this part is supposed to be for the petitioner's name, even though the answer is related to your children's name, because in this part they would know exactly what you are talking about when you enter information in here. Then if it's not also enough, then try to print another copy. I highly recommend to use this page because most of the time there are people who are making a whole page which they indicate how they've met in person. So I highly recommend to use this part instead of getting that other part, if like a continuation. Alright, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoy watching this video. I hope you've learned something from this video. If you do, please click like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And also, if you have any question, you can go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I will try to answer your question as much as possible. And yeah, see you next time.